There are tales, much like the ashes of the old world, scattered across the wastelands. Hidden within these stories are secrets, knowledge, and legends. I've traversed far and wide across this once great nation to share these stories with other travelers. I now offer you a choice to tune into this broadcast of the Wastelord's Legend Podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast, my friends. In today's episode, we have a very special guest. But first, before we talk about all that, I want to tell you guys some news. Some Fallout news that we got going on, as of course, the Fallout TV show is coming, I believe, April 12th. If not, we'll correct this in the video. But April 12th, the Fallout TV show is coming out. It's going to be hopefully badass. We have a podcast talking about our thoughts on it if you want to see that. But yeah, so there's the Fallout show. And then also our good buddy Neo, who does the editing of these videos. And he's really the backbone of this podcast channel. He just opened up his own shop. I'm wearing his merch right now. It is super comfortable and it's super drippy. It's got his whole little Legion dude on it. And, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of Legion, guys, but it's so sexy that even a Ranger like myself has to wear it. So definitely go check out his shop. We'll have it in the description of this video. So go check it out. He's got some dope stuff. Coffee shirts, coffee cups, shirts, flags, stickers, all that good stuff. Go check it out. But now let's get into the actual podcast. Today, joining us, we have one of the, Fallout community. When I say Fallout community, I mean like the Fallout cosplay community. One of their biggest champs, and that is the Courier With No Name. And Courier, do you want to say something real quick?
Nah, I'm just here, brother.
Hell yeah. So we're going to be talking about guns this video. We're going to be doing just talking about the guns, just shooting the shit and just having a good time. So let's get right into it.
Good old equalizers, heavy force multipliers, things that go pew pew.
Hell yeah.
Exactly. We're going to be nerding the F out. Well, the first thing I want to ask is, Courier, why do you make videos on the guns of Fallout? Like, what's your purpose behind that? Why do you just want to make videos on just solely the guns?
Well, it's funny actually, because when you actually see a lot of the people online making videos, like a lot of people will make really good lore videos like Cypher and back in the day whenever he was still good, Oxhorn. The big thing for me with firearms is I've always been very drawn to them. I'm a native Texan. It's just kind of part of our religion. And the main thing for me with the firearms and their actual history is it's actually kind of a learning process for myself. I've just recently gotten into firearms these past 2 years. And it's really interesting to actually go back. Like, for instance, my most recent video with the Colt. I actually had no idea that it's literally just two versions of the Colt 1911 that have been in existence and in use by the U.S. military for literally 100 years. And everybody says that, and oh yeah, 2 world wars and all that shit. But the big thing for me that was super interesting is that you've got, like, say, the Colt 1911, the original, just M1911. That was only actually in service for about 15 years. And then after that, they updated it to the Colt M1911A1. And it was really interesting actually looking into that because they used it all the way up to 1990 when it was just barely replaced by the M9 Beretta. And that kind of blew me away because I was like, it had to have stopped being used after like Vietnam, like maybe Gulf War at the fucking absolute maximum. But there are dudes in the like special forces, like Navy SEALs, Army Special Forces, and the Marine Corps, all that. They're still using it. And I mean, like, yeah, of course, everyone says, 2 world wars and all this and that. It's just wild to me that it's actually got such an impact on not only American history, but world history. And that's partially why I wanted to make these videos, because when you get into the game and say like Waste, you're currently you're going to be getting I don't know if you want me to say it, you're going to be getting a gun soon that is based off of one of the best guns in New Vegas. That is really interesting, its entire design and everything, because I'll just go ahead and say which gun that you're not that you're getting, but that it's based off of.
No, that's completely fine.
Yeah. The medicine stick. The medicine stick, of course, it's in 4570, but originally, whenever I was doing my video for the trail carbine, I found out that the reason they were going with the Marlin platform for New Vegas is they were actually going to implement 3030 as a cartridge that they were going to use. And that's why it's got such a large ejection port. So I remember I was looking at this when I was a lot younger, and I was like, that only shoots a 44? Isn't that like a pistol cartridge? Why is that ejection port so massive? And then I did the smallest amount of research, and it's just like, oh, they literally were like almost done with it, and they just had to cut it, like a bunch of stuff in New Vegas. But
it really is the tragedy of that game.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah. Especially all the, like, for instance, the Legion chariots that got cut. Like, fucking shit.
Dude.
Bro, I'm on God really glad that they did, because as cool as like vehicles are in Fallout, and as much as I wanted a Highwayman in New Vegas, I think that the chariots, as nice of a concept as that is, would be kind of ridiculous with the Legion that we have in Fallout New Vegas. Now, maybe they would have been like an entirely different faction had they been like fully fleshed out, and to where like a chariot would have made more sense. Mm-hmm. But like, oh man, dude, I think about that now. Like, you know, you're like doing patrols by like Camp Searchlight, and then there's just like
you just hear
Legion dudes on a
distance.
fucking tractor just like mobbing at you, and you're like, oh shit. I don't know. It's kind of cool, but it's like it's there's such a sentiment of like a distrust in technology amongst the Legion, and I know that that's not necessarily accurate, and you know, we could get into that later, but I think the idea of them having chariots when there are like normal, perfectly functional vehicles that don't need to be modified into chariots is kind of ridiculous in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where they were really just pulling from like ancient Rome and stuff, which is cool. Nothing's wrong with that. But of course, like you're saying, it would be strange for them to suddenly have like mechanics and people who are out there fixing cars and cobbling them together with like motorcycles and stuff like that. But
yeah, to be honest, a chariot would be dog shit in Fallout. Like, that would just be worthless, because there's so many things that could go wrong with a chariot. It's so loud. It's so open. Yes, it's dope though. But honestly, it's just dope, and that's why I love them.
Honestly, I think a chariot would be like better for the Legion to, you know, cross those vast open distances, because then they would have some sort of like armored protection while also increasing their speed to which they can close the distance. I don't see anything but like benefits coming out of that. Now, I could accept a chariot in the current base game of Fallout New Vegas if it was in the arena, and the arena was like, I don't know, 5 times the size it currently is. Because that would be badass. Like, you know, you go in and you like fight the slaves, you fight the NCR trooper, fight the ranger, and then it's like you have to fight a centurion on a fucking chariot, like, or I guess a gladiator, but you know, they would come from the Legion, so they would probably have a rank of some sort, or maybe not. Maybe it could just be like a slave gladiator. The point being, he's on a chariot, and you're like, oh shit! Like, that would be a context to which I would really enjoy it. I wouldn't really enjoy it in the context of it being in the game.
Yeah, no, you both made very great points, and honestly, both just opened my eyes to the fact that, so you'd have the positives of, like you were just saying, it would be good in like open warfare if they needed to cover ground and if they needed any sort of armored support. But Waste was talking about, of course, it'd be loud and all that, and that just kind of put into my mind that in the actual like open ground of that, the Legion doesn't have the numbers that the NCR does, and with how loud it would be, sure, it'd be armored, but it would get taken down pretty quickly, and you'd hear it coming from quite a distance. Like, say the because everyone in the game lore is always talking about how the Legion is much larger than it lets out to be. Well, if they put every freaking man, woman, and child up on the front line, maybe to keep a number rank up with the NCR, you'd see some crazy stuff where I'd think it'd be viable. But hearing both of y'all talk about that, the positives and negatives, that's interesting, because you could definitely go with it'd be very useful, but at the same time, how much?
Yeah, it's a big pick your poison kind of scenario, I think.
Yeah.
Something that would probably fit really well within like the Frontier mod, where they like added the vehicles and everything. I haven't personally played that, but I've seen some gameplay and know enough from reading up on it on Reddit that there's like the vehicles are a big thing that they do. And honestly, like, man, if there's going to be anything in New Vegas, the NCR absolutely needs to have their armored like transport division, because for sure they have vehicles that work for transportation, and they have some vertibirds and the means to produce them. And it's unclear, at least to me right now, whether or not they have tanks. I've heard arguments on both sides that they do and they don't have tanks, but the NCR is like fully industrialized now. So it would make sense. Yeah, it would make sense that they would have tanks. So, I mean, we see tanks all over the fucking place on the East Coast. So where are they on the West Coast?
That's a good question, yeah. Another thing is we they have to have vehicles, because don't they use the I-15, the long 15 for all their transport? And I don't know why. I don't know what is telling me in my gut. I was like, yeah, they 100% have vehicles. I don't know if it was a piece of lore or something I found, but I just remember in New Vegas, I could guarantee you, I'd bet money on it, that they used vehicles on the I-15, especially because the distance. Damn it, I can't remember what it is. I remember
there's something either from in-game dialogue or someone that was covering it. The army trucks that are there in McCarran Airport are new. Like the NCR used them. And the only reason they're not being used currently is because it'd be a waste of resources to send them out, because they can't get any more vehicles in from the Mojave Express with the current situation. I don't remember if that's in-game dialogue or if that's just someone's theory, but I mean, it kind of makes sense, because obviously McCarran was basically turned into a military installation either just before the war or like probably, whenever it started or some shit. But it's, I mean, like, a lot of it is more down to, of course, not speaking on the lore, engine limitations and shit like that with the game. And I remember the very first time, years and years ago, playing Fallout New Vegas and walking up that big area with like all the trucks and cars and that one 18-wheeler that's got all the motorcycles in the back, and they look brand new. So, I mean, sure, that could just be, them reusing assets from 3 and yada yada. But I mean, it kind of implies that there absolutely were people moving those vehicles back and forth, and they only stopped because of the current conflict in the Mojave. And actually, Neo Cypher's video on the Nevada Rangers or the Desert Rangers, whichever it was, my bad. That's the first time I ever actually truly understood their backstory. Because I've always thought, oh, well, fuck, why the hell do we have this monument of a veteran ranger and an NCR ranger? Aren't they the same thing? I was confused at first, and then I saw his video, and I was like, oh, that is a lot more understandable.
It's actually something that, like, deeply frustrates me about other content creators that do lore, is they equate the Desert Rangers to the NCR veteran rangers, when I can understand why, right? Because, like, for sure they were separate factions at one point, because the Ranger Unification Treaty is explained on that little, like, billet at the base of the statue. But when you get into it, like, a lot of people think, like, oh, because the Desert Rangers, they had the helmet, they had the riot gear, they had the trench coats, that they just, like, joined the NCR Rangers, and anyone who was a Desert Ranger is now a veteran Ranger, and they have the armor and shit. But that's not actually the case. As far as we know from the lore of the game, the Desert Rangers their iconic gear is not the riot armor, it's the trench coat. And some of them had riot armor that, you know, the developers were like trying to make nods to things. So like when you get the Desert Ranger armor from Zion Canyon, that's not actually a Desert Ranger. That armor didn't even belong like to the guy who had it, who wore it originally. Those were even separate people. Yeah, he just like found it and then he wore it. So, you know, he wasn't that Marine Corps sergeant, I believe. And that armor in of itself is not even Desert Ranger armor. I'm almost positive it's just a design based on the statue, which was based on the NCR Veteran Ranger. Go ahead.
That armor was based. It was based, that's for sure. But no, it was used in the Mongolian or the Gobi campaign, which was in Mongolia, and you can see that there's markings on it indicating it, but it's also painted in a desert fashion as for the Mongolian and the Gobi Desert. So that's what that armor actually originates from, is that Marine was serving in the Gobi campaign. So it could have been, you know, his exact same unit was using those kind of, the Gobi campaign sniper rifle, for instance. But yeah, that armor itself was actually used in the Gobi campaign.
Yeah, so it's for sure desert armor. Now let's like get to the NCR, because this is the part that confuses a lot of people. So, oh shit, my computer just went quiet. The NCR Rangers in California, prior to signing the treaty, were using riot gear. And from what I can gather, the trench coat is not originally part of the riot gear armor. Like, you find it in game as part of it. But from what I understand, based on my study into this field, is that when the Ranger Unification Treaty was signed, as like a way of incorporating the Desert Rangers' origins into the rank of the NCR Rangers, they threw on the iconic trench coat with the NCR Veteran Rangers. But the NCR Veteran Rangers, some of them might be Desert Rangers, but not all of them are Desert Rangers. And the common misconception is that all of those are Desert Rangers. It's said in game that it takes like 20 years of service to get to the Veteran Ranger status. So it's unclear as to whether, like, when the Desert Rangers joined, if they're like, oh yeah, you guys are all badasses here, you can just instantly join the ranks of the Veteran Rangers. I doubt that's the case. I bet they had to join the regular rank and file of the NCR Rangers, like the guys in the cool, like, I'll call them like cowboy uniforms, and the what is it? The like almost combat armor looking patrol uniforms.
It's a dirt bike armor.
I bet the majority of those are actually Desert Rangers, because they're not like wearing their traditional trench coats anymore, because they're now part of a different organization. Their organization no longer exists. And as a nod to them, the NCR veterans wear the iconic trench coat.
And that's why my cosplay, I have the trench coat and no armor.
Yeah, it's.
I'm just kidding.
You still have the riot helmet, though. You got the riot.
Dude, it's badass.
Yeah. So the original, like, to get even deeper, the original version of Desert Ranger armor was a trench coat with a gas mask and like one other thing I can't remember, but it was based on the Desert Rangers from Wasteland, which is a very common thing. So it's one of those topics that, like, the lore in of itself is very confusing, sometimes conflicting, and not even based on things that specifically happen within our known game universe. You have to understand the real world plus the in-game universe plus the lore of like a different game franchise plus the different iterations throughout the several games, plus the conflicting information and what's more accurate between the base game of Fallout New Vegas and the DLCs. And it's, oh man,
no, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
like for instance, when I made the video on the with Wastelord's weapon, the BRN 601, I mentioned how there's no fucking way that the NCR would just boom, here's a service rifle out of nowhere. with how iconic of a design that is, and with the fact that the original prototypes for the AR-15 and M16 were wooden stock, it's absolutely either they found original prototypes from Eugene Stoner and they backwards produced them, or they found schematics, or maybe they found it in a museum or something like that. And that's one of those good things about Fallout, whichever game it is, well, most of them, they actually pull from the real world, and they actually give you something to latch onto and be like, oh, I know what that is. I can relate to that. I understand what I'm seeing and what I'm able to pick apart the details of.
Definitely. I don't know if, okay, I'm like shaking right now. I got to say 3 things real quick, maybe 3, maybe more. Okay, first off, there's no way the NCR did do that. You're completely right, because we got the service rifle, which was used before the NCR was a thing. We got the definitely they have the designs from Stoner, because there's the All-American, the Marksman carbine, all that. Oh, yeah. As well as, and I just forgot it. It was on the tip of my tongue. I was also thinking about dogging on the combat rifle, but we can talk about that later. That thing's ass. Like the Fallout 4 combat rifle. That thing is just.
Yes.
I don't know why.
I despise that thing.
Okay, so hold up. I got a huge question for you guys, and you guys, we can go back to the service rifle lore or whatever. But I have a question real quick, and that is, do you like the combat rifle from Fallout 4 and 76? Or do you like the assault rifle from those exact same games? Which one do you like more? The assault rifle, you guys know which guns I'm talking about?
Bro, for sure the combat rifle. The assault rifle just looks like dog shit.
Bro, you're yapping. What do you think? What do you think, Courier?
I mean, they're both terrible. They are both abhorrently terrible.
I am not gonna lie.
I can see where the assault rifle had some inspiration in the way it was meant to be built. And I'll say this about the assault rifle, and I'll leave it at this. It should have just been an LMG. You should not have been able to edit it down to just an assault rifle, because in LMG format, it's the only thing that looks reasonable, because it's based off of a gun that already is like box magazine fed via belt cartridges. So I mean, it would make sense in an LMG format, but the thing is you only ever see it in the Wasteland with a short barrel, no scope, and a basic side magazine. It just goes back to Bethesda having zero understanding of firearms, and I'll stop.
Definitely. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm gonna be hated on because everyone dogs on that gun. It is one of the sexiest guns I've ever seen. It looks like a World War I, and it's so Fallout. It's crazy that I don't know why people don't like it, and I do understand that it should just be an LMG. And I wanted to say too, the Fallout TV show. I don't know if you guys have seen the picture I'm talking about, but it's a Power guy holding the assault rifle. Yeah, and that assault rifle looks as big as a human being. Like, that thing is. They made that boy even chunkier. So that's definitely a positive.
Absolutely.
It looks sexy as hell.
Dummy thick worthy.
Yeah, bro. it was Dutch Vanderlyn in our video that we made, bro.
Oh, Jesus.
It was thick as hell.
I swear, Neo, you sounded like Micah for half of that. I was just like, is he trying to be Micah or Dutch?
Bro, I was so goddamn sick when we made that.
Oh,
Waste was like, he's like, hey man, you want to do like a.
You there?
Dead, and I'm like, sure. I think I got enough clothes I could be someone, and I just like made Dutch. And then I was like, I haven't played Red Dead in like a year. Only thing I can ever remember Dutch saying is like, "Come on, Arthur," and "I got a plan." So I was like, I can't just say that for the whole like 10 minutes of the video. So I'm gonna try to I don't know, keep the accent that I've never practiced with words that I didn't like research up on. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just do my best like fat cat Southern charlatan.
Dude, that video was so hard because the entire time I was like, it's gonna be so easy. We'll just make a quick, funny video. It'll just be fun. And then when we got into it, we didn't know what we were talking about. I could not I was playing Red Dead Redemption, like literally 20 minutes before we did that, and I just for some reason could not do an Arthur voice. But
whatever, you did like the best Arthur voice I've heard so far.
Dude, that's what I love.
Apparently,
hey, I got
what's it called? He's from Idaho, is where his accent originates from, in that area. And back then in the West in Idaho, you had people that were talking real Southern like, even though they weren't from the South. So it was just kind of big Southern drawl mixed in with some hardly English words like brother and feller.
Exactly, dude. Arthur's voice is like the best voice of a protagonist I've ever heard. It's so, I don't know why, like hearing him talk in the most heterosexual way, hearing him talk is like super soothing to me. Like, I don't know why.
No, yeah, I mean, the voice actor, Roger Clark. I remember whenever the games were coming out, he was talking about how he had to redo the horse dialogue lines because they were like, it doesn't really sound like you're talking to a horse. And he's like, what are you talking about? And then he listens to them and they're just like, oh, yeah, girl. And it's like, oh, shit.
Hey, side note, I have bad news for you guys.
Oh.
So in a interview on one of the forums with Joshua Sawyer, someone asked, where does the NCR get the wood for its service rifles? And he responded, it doesn't. Those are pre-war rifles.
Boom.
So, but that still lends credence to they definitely could have gotten it from a museum, because we already know from like Operation Anchorage, they weren't the active rifle of choice for the U.S. military. And if they were, I don't know if y'all know about the way like supply and demand works with our current military, but National Guard will get the hand-me-downs. Like there are people in the National Guard that are still using like M16A2s, which are the Vietnam M16s. And like they're actually being given these rifles for like patrol or guard duty and shit. And they're just like, here you go. And it's like, this is from the 60s. And they're just like, yep, guard the depot. So, I mean,
I actually have an addendum to this because you're on the right track.
Ooh, cut out.
Right, that was in Alaska. Correct me if I'm wrong.
What was in Alaska?
You cut out.
The U.S. Army.
Yes, but that was the Army itself. And I'm not saying that the National Guard wasn't there. They absolutely could have been. But
so we see from DC as well that the East Coast had a large Army presence, and we're going to, for the sake of uniformity here, we're going to not talk about Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 because those kind of muddy the lore. From what we see in Fallout 3, the standard issue amongst the U.S. Army were the assault rifles. And in Anchorage, you see a lot of T-51B power armor. And on the West Coast, we know that there was a heavy Marine Corps presence. And it's almost entirely likely that this big stack of pre-war firearms, these shitty ass service rifles, plus the riot gear that we know was in use by the U.S. Marines in this timeline, probably was just their shit. Like they probably got it from Marine bases in Southern California. Like it makes sense to me.
There are a lot of hand-me-downs in the Marines as well.
Yeah. I mean, the Marine Corps is like notoriously underfunded, right? And their like whole thing with weapons is like do what you can with what you got, and they still do. Like they still use M16s because they would rather have the 500-yard firing capability than have the 300 of the M4.
Yeah,
and it's funny because I just talked to one of my buddies in the Marine Corps, and he's like, yeah, certain units and stuff are getting equipped with M4s now that the Army is switching over their weapon type to, like, I don't know what the new fucking weapon design is, but the Army is getting new weapons essentially, and the Marines are stoked because they're getting M4s.
Yeah, the way that goes is that the Air Force will usually get some prototypes, and then the prototype stage goes on to mass production, and then the Army gets the mass production, and then they just literally throw everything down to the other branches, and they're just like, here you go, here's the hand-me-downs.
That's kind of messed up, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Do you guys think that the East Coast has most of the advanced technology because they did a lot of the research there? Like the T-51 was made in the East Coast. I believe the T-45 was as well. The Fat Man was made there. And I wonder if that's why we see a lot of the most advanced technological stuff in the East Coast. Especially because they got a lot of... I feel like we see more military bases in the East Coast than we have ever seen in the West Coast.
Was the Fat Man specifically East Coast?
Yeah, it was made in Fort Hagen.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Same with the T-51.
Yeah. The only reason I questioned that is because the thing that's based off of in the real world was a portable tripod bazooka that had a miniature nuclear warhead on the end of it. And that was created in Area 51 on the West Coast in real life.
Stop. I can only get so wet.
Exactly, dude. Oh my god. That is so sick.
You know, the funny thing is the only reason they never went through with it was because, of course, 40s and 50s America didn't truly understand radiation yet. And after consistent testing, they were like, you know what? All of our guys are suddenly ending up with cancer and leukemia and all these horrible diseases. Let's stop doing this shit.
Yeah, it's like they were so dumb, dude. And that's what I love about Fallout, though. Is it feels like they know what they're doing with radiation because they have so much technology based off of it, as well as they have Radaway and all that. But yet they still do the same crazy shit that they would do with radiation. The radium water that they would drink, and a famous golfer drank it all the time, and his jaw fell off. And that's basically Nuka-Cola. It's they thought it was radiation's this good thing that helps you, when it really just screws you the hell up.
Yeah.
Did they think that though? I was always under the impression that the companies were those comically corrupt ones, and they would put radiation in things like Nuka-Cola because it gave it that zip and made it addictive, like cocaine. I always thought that was kind of the place in for drugs. And you could tell, man, that the Fallout government, they just did not give a fuck about the people. They were like, yeah, we're gonna make nuclear engines because it's more cost effective, and it's resources that we have, because they're all running out of resources, right? That's the whole reason why we're in this mess to begin with. But dude, you could fucking one bullet causes those things to blow up and fucking soak the entire road in Fallout. Come on.
Reminds me of that meme of a minor fender bender, and then it's just the guys getting out and they're just like, oh God, we're all gonna die, run.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I wonder if it's the reason that they explode like that is because they've no maintenance for all the years, but they still explode in Fallout 76. So how long is a lifespan before? Because there's no way they would be driving them if they explode like that, right?
No, there is. There is.
It could kind of make sense because, the nukes that were dropped on the world, excess radiation in the atmosphere. We don't know how those engines work, but they got to have an air intake of some kind. And maybe if they're intaking a lot of irradiated particles, it's an excess buildup. So say you haven't changed your oil in a long time, and you finally go to change it, it's going to be viscousy and different. So, it's not the best example, but, it would kind of make sense considering that there was a ton of nuclear fallout, that it would definitely gunk up the interiors.
I don't know how scientific or correct that is, but that sounded hella smart.
I like to think that they just blow up because car manufacturers don't give a fuck about the people.
That too.
Maybe. Yeah. We never know. We need a pre-war Fallout game. That's what we need.
Fucking Corvega, and their commercial is buy this now, and by the way, never run into anybody.
Okay, real quick, Waste, since you were we need a pre-war Fallout game, I gotta touch on this. I was talking to Neo about this the other day, probably last week or something. Whenever Fallout 4 came out, I've been a player since Fallout 3. I went and I replayed. I went backwards in the timeline. I played 2 and then I played 1. Dumb order, I know, but I was 11, whenever I played Fallout 3 for the first time. And going back and playing them, all this and that, you always have that you can kind of glimpse what the world was like. You can't really, but it's just kind of like, it's like a fleeting memory. And then you see it in 4, because like the hype for 4, oh my God, it was unbeatable. It destroyed the game's self-image for when it actually came out. It was so much hype. But I remember installing Fallout 4, tearing up whenever the menus came up for the first time. I'm like sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually fucking staring at this fucking game right now. This is insane. I can't believe this. And you play it, you have that jaw-dropping intro. Doesn't even need Ron Perlman. It's just such like a well-done video. Everything about it really sucks you in. And then you have that intro in like pre-war America in Sanctuary. Honestly, I was pretty jaw-dropped the entire time. Like, I was like, oh my God, are we actually about to fucking see what I think we're about to fucking see? And yeah, fucking bombs dropping, you're going to the vault, you have the crazy scene where the guy gets turned away by the military and all that. Oh my God, it was so crazy seeing all that the first time. And even coming out of the vault the first time, it's just like, damn. Like, I know it's been a long time now, but holy fuck. And I'll say this and I'll leave it at this. Fallout 4 had amazing promise with how it was set up, and it's ruined by the fact that the first quest that you do, if you follow the storyline, is here, take a power armor suit, go kill that Deathclaw. That's it.
Hey, don't you be dogging on my homeboy Preston Garvey.
Yeah, you're not,
settlement needs your help.
You're not talking shit about the Minutemen, right?
I am. I send him to that. I send him to Coastal Cottage, and I throw a sleeping bag down in that hole, and I don't touch that settlement and keep him as far away from me as possible.
Bro, you give him a sleeping bag? That's too kind.
Well, you gotta lock him in that hole somehow.
You guys don't even know the power of the Minutemen, I swear.
What I do is I just build a box, and then I stick him in that, and then I download a kill any NPC mod, and the rest is history.
And that's it. That's Legion and NCR fanboys for y'all folks, right there.
Oh, I ain't an NCR fanboy. I do my own thing. I'm about.
Do you?
I'm both. I'm both the Legion and the NCR fanboy.
I've said this before, but I don't like either of them. Like I actually, it's hard to describe this, but I view both of them as actual bad guys.
Well, it's a valid argument. I mean,
yeah.
if you really want to, so I grew up in a military household, and my father was a Marine, and a lot of military influence throughout not only my childhood, but through school. He wanted me to do like ROTC. I didn't have a problem with it. It was a good program. I did that, and there was all this and that. I thought I was going to join the military, and then I really enjoy history. I love history. And once you really dig into it, you see that every war since, I want to say Korea, but that's kind of political, but every war since World War II has been over political reasoning or resources. And that's not something that I want to die over. But the main thing that is apparent about the NCR is it is everything that is bad about the United States military. It will do anything and everything by any means necessary to get what they want. And that already happens in the current American world, where we do and say all these crazy things in order to get what we please from other nations and all these other things that are terrible. But when I was younger, when I was still in the mindset of, I think I'm going to join the military, this and that, you look up to it in a way because you're like, fuck yeah, that's based. They're going and they're taking what they want. They're telling everyone that they can go kill themselves, do whatever they please. We don't care. We're going to take what we please from you, and you're going to deal with it. And then you don't think about the repercussions of your actions. You don't think about what's going to happen to the people that you're taking these things from if you're not killing them. All these other things. And like, I remember, so I usually choose the NCR ending, but for a long time I used to do House because it's like, oh, he wants the betterment of mankind and all this and that. But he's literally the same thing, but from the bureaucrat side. He is the guy who in pre-war America is throwing money at the military-industrial complex saying, go here, do this, and you'll get pay from it. You'll get resources from it. You'll get whatever you're asking for. So it's two sides of the same coin. So, and then everyone, I'm sidetracking a little bit, but then everyone's like, oh, but yes, man. And it's like, okay, so all you want is anarchy, and you don't really have a point other than, oh, everything will manage itself. No, it's not. You literally see by playing the game that nothing can manage itself. Factions will form in power vacuums.
The yes man ending is the I want to be Mr. House ending.
Pretty much.
That's really what it is.
It's like really bad in that one because it even I've seen this argument a lot. It's that yes man only he says what you want him to hear, but he's really sketchy. He'll try to do everything he can to try to kill you.
Well, and the ending, too. He literally says, I've been installing some new software, so there's going to be some changes coming very soon. And it's like, yeah, I don't know what the hell that is. Probably going to dome me with the massive army I just gave him.
Exactly. It's sketchy.
If I remember correctly, I think I want to say one of the developers actually chimed in on this because someone had asked, like, does Yes Man, like, commit a coup or like usurp your throne or whatever, and I think they said no. They like what he meant by making himself more assertive wasn't making himself less submissive to the player character, but more assertive in that he would say no if you were to make a tactically unsound decision. And like before you beat the game, you can install Yes Man into Mr. House's computer, go to the fort, destroy the entire Securitron army, and he's just like, wow, you really did that. Army that we had under the fort that could have won this whole war that we need to protect our whole region, and you went and did that. That's swell, you know?
Yeah, he's like dying inside.
I actually forgot about that.
Yeah, so it's like it basically turns him into an AI that still helps the courier. So like I know that the implication, I'm almost positive that whoever wrote it with the implication, especially with how humanity has felt towards AI since like the fucking 70s, right? Wrote it with the implication that you just created a goddamn monster. However, I'm positive that it was a developer statement that I had read somewhere in my, endless hours of research that I do that stated that it wasn't like that he was still going to be working with the courier. He wasn't going to like usurp the throne, basically. He was going to just be like, yeah, we're not doing that. More like a general rather than like a president.
I have a question.
Way of putting that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Doesn't he works with Benny first, but then doesn't he betray Benny to help you?
Well,
no, I don't think so, because you have to
have the ability to say no yet.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, technically he does betray Benny, but he's not like bound by code to only listen to Benny.
Yeah.
Unless, actually, I think I may be wrong. Hold on, I'm gonna do some Googling. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
A little sus there, my gentleman.
No, I mean, it's a good point, because I mean, technically he betrays him, but at the same time, I mean, initially even, he wasn't doing that of his own will. Benny fucking somehow managed to reprogram a Securitron after stealing it from House without House knowing, which is a plot hole in and of itself. But with all that going on, the Securitron that's an AI is semi-sentient. So that being said, I mean, he knows that he was a House Securitron and he knows what his purpose was. And the way a lot of semi-sentient AI works, at least in media, and I mean, I think we even have some in real life at this point, they understand what their purpose is and they try to uphold it to the highest standard. So, I mean, think about it from like his point of view as a robot that's like a semi-sentient AI. where he's basically going, oh, I have to do this thing that is against my original programming, but to the person who has reprogrammed me, it has made it in a way where I have to respond positively. And that's why you get the sarcasm. So I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, like, he probably does realize that he's betraying him, because he's like, oh, he's been making me do this shit that I don't want to do. And because you're asking him questions, he can't say no. He just spills his guts about how everything works. Probably in a way is like, that's a bad way of saying it, but probably in a way is venting to the courier.
Yeah.
I have an update.
And, oh, yeah.
So from what I can tell, I'm reading the wiki right now. I'd like normally check other sources, but the wiki is actually pretty accurate most of the time. It says that he was reprogrammed to do exactly as he is told, regardless of who is giving him the information or asking the information. He has to listen. He has to listen to whoever's asking him. So I, for whatever reason, remember like the courier being an exception, but I can't remember why. I can't remember if it was like a theory or if it was like a confirmed, like, because you are the player character, yes man, like, has to do what you specifically tell him or whatever. But that wouldn't make sense. From what I can tell, based on what I'm reading, he's completely incapable of declining any order or withholding any information he is asked for, no matter who he's interacting with.
That makes sense.
And I read that line directly from the wiki.
Yeah, sounded like it.
The wiki.
I mean, I do talk like that too, though. So I mean,
you do good lore videos.
Thank you.
Bro knows all the lore. The only thing that I love the wiki, and this is completely off topic, the wiki is almost always dead on, except I want to say this to anyone who's watching, and you guys play Fallout Shelter as well. Do not trust the wiki when it comes to Fallout Shelter. There's a lot of yap in there that doesn't have any relation to the actual game or truth.
The Fallout Shelter wiki like considers the events of Fallout Shelter and like the Chinese Fallout Shelter, which is like, yeah, Fallout Shelter Online, which is like different than Fallout Shelter a little bit, as like canon. Right. So when I was doing research for the Enclave videos, they were like, yeah, the Enclave is still operating in the Capital Wasteland in 2287. And I'm like, where the fuck is the information for that? Because like, I can't find it anywhere. And then I finally found it, and it was like, oh yeah, I came from this Fallout Shelter quest. And I'm like, bruv, not from Fallout Shelter. Like, nothing that occurs in Fallout Shelter is canon.
Dude, I just found something cool about firearms, guys, and I want to share this with you.
Okay.
Did you know that a 7.62 by same ammo that an AK uses will fit in an AR mag?
Nah, I didn't know that.
Yes and no. I mean, so which AR? Like
AR-15. 7.62 by 39 can fit in a 5.56 or 22 or 223 magazine.
I mean, it'll fit in the magazine, yeah, but definitely not. You probably won't be able to actually load that magazine. Or
I hope not. Yeah.
Let alone chamber the round, because the bullet diameter is way too big. So
that's how pipe rifles came around. Will this fit? And if so, like, okay, what do you guys? In Fallout 4, we were introduced. No. Sorry. In Fallout 2, we were introduced to pipe rifles, right? But then in Fallout 4, we really got introduced into the pipe rifles. And how many shots do you guys think you could get off with a 50 cal pipe rifle?
Well,
one.
Yeah. Well, even if you could get more than one round, you get what nobody ever thinks about is how freaking hot that thing's gonna get. There are no guards. Like, if there's a hand guard or something, it's wooden, and it's literally like screwed in. So those screws are they're connected to the rest of that very hot pipe gun that you're shooting whatever caliber through. And like, every time I see an LMG one, I'm just like, that is gonna fall apart halfway through that magazine. Either due to the freaking screws flying out, or this getting so hot they're gonna burn their hands like 3rd-degree burns.
They're so comically horrible that it's just I don't know why. but I just love the pipe rifle design, and like it just looks so crazy and shitty that I actually like it. Like I ran around in 76, and I've done it in 4 before, and I'll make literally like an SMG with like a drum mag and like a bottle as the sight and the most crazy shit ever. God. And I'll run around and I'm like, this is so cool. But I'll look at it and I'm like, it doesn't make any sense, and this would blow up in my face the first shot I ever take from it. But it's just, I don't know. I just love it.
The thing
Nothing goes to waste in Wastelord's house.
Exactly.
He like takes a shit and he's like, hey man, I think I could put this on my rifle.
Fertilizer. For my ammo.
You're like, it's kind of glowing. I think I can make a glow sight with this.
Oh shit.
Recycle my piss for that water like I'm Power Armor, my G.
Oh my god, I can't wait for like future technology to catch up so I could drink my own piss through my armor. Oh man.
That'd be
some Bear Grylls up in this motherfucker.
It have a unique special flavor.
I don't know why this just reminded me of that. But when you guys were talking about earlier, like with the government just being like, oh, whatever, random chemicals in Nuka-Cola and stuff. I remember whenever I first saw Quantum for the first time, I was like, oh, this is so cool. What the hell? And it was like supposed to drop the day the bombs dropped and stuff. And they're shipping it all throughout DC. And then you find the like manifest in like Vault-Tec headquarters or wherever it is. And they're just like, yeah, it's just ionized radiation. Just like a certain amount of it. And it's just like
a lot of radiation.
Like, oh. And then, like, of course, there's the jokes of everyone like, yeah, you drink a Quantum and your fucking piss just glowing blue liquid.
Am I wrong?
Go ahead.
Sorry, you go. Oh. Isn't there a label on a Nuka-Cola Quantum that says, like, if your piss is glowing, it's okay. It's just, like, the flavor's kicking in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember that, too.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that an actual thing? Because I downloaded a lot of props, and I wasn't sure if that was one of my props or something.
You're like, I downloaded the wrong Fallout game. I like just created a theory that's why you find so many wigs in the later Fallout games, because fucking everyone's losing their goddamn hair.
That is
drinking Nuka-Cola.
A very good point. Holy
no, that
shit.
actually did that just blow your mind too, Courier?
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what? That actually makes so much sense.
Like some basement developers over there like, no one's gonna understand this reference, And then fucking me over here in the corner like, they don't know that I'm a Fallout lore guy.
For real, bro.
Like, that's like, what's that fucking guy's name? After the Broken Steel DLC in Fallout 3, who's selling fake Aqua Pura at Underworld. And he's got the wig. And you can uncover his operation where he's just re-irradiating the water. And it's just a bunch of guys, or not a bunch of guys, but it's one of the guys that's like all the goons in that building is wearing the wig. And you find a note where he's just like, I don't want any of you touching these damn wigs. They're pre-war and they're really hard to comb together. I don't want to see any of y'all's greasy hands on. And you find that one guy wearing one, and then the container of like 5 of them.
Dude, I remember getting pissed off when I found out that the wigs are based off of your character's head. I was so confused.
What do you mean?
I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought the wigs were based off of your character's head. Like, depending on what character choices hold up. So in character creation, when you're making your character, depending on your eye color and all that kind of stuff, I'm pretty sure it changes the effect of the wig.
Really?
That would be insanely complex to implement.
I mean, it's Bethesda. I could be completely wrong.
Dude, Bethesda puts all of their resources into the wrong things.
Yeah.
They're like, we have an open world, post-apocalyptic RPG with all kinds of crazy mutants and underground bases and shadow governments, and we're gonna make like the main feature of this game building a base.
Dude, that's so base though. That's so base. That's why the Minutemen are the best, and that's why they're eventually going to take over the NCR.
Oh my god, bro! You just want to play The Sims. You want to play The Sims with the Fallout mod.
Literally.
I gotta be honest with you guys, and I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to get shit on for this.
Yeah, probably.
Well, this is dead honest. 60% of my time on Fallout has actually probably been building settlements. And I'm not even lying.
I mean, that's
it.
all the good content of Fallout 4. Most of its story elements and everything were kind of just based on the Sean reveal. And after that, the game's kind of hollow.
Dude, like,
the game was hollow
up to the Sean reveal. I think the only, like, real main storyline thing they did good was Kellogg.
Oh, like, fuck yeah.
Kellogg was, like, the fucking, like, someone at Bethesda was like, we're gonna make a good character, and then they made Kellogg, and then that was it. That was like the whole game, you know.
No, they also made Preston.
Well,
so anyway, Courier, I got like a surplus of crosses in my basement. You think you can help me drag one out for our good friend Waste? I think he needs to experience Jesus.
Stretch out.
Well, I'll say this. And this is going to give as much positive credence towards the Minutemen as it can. If what happened in Quincy was something that was drawn out and that you could interact with and wasn't something that you merely saw the outcome of, that would have made the Minutemen a lot more, what's the correct word? Like, not sympathizable. That's definitely not a word. It would make it a lot easier to sympathize with the Minutemen, their ideals, their struggles. When you find the Minutemen, it is literally just Preston. Sure, there's that other chick, whatever her name is, that comes to the castle after you retake it.
Oh, Ronnie Shaw.
She was out, though. She was like, I'm done with this fucking organization.
Yeah.
Until she heard that the Minutemen were coming back, and then she's like, oh, I better go help them because they don't fucking know how to do anything.
Yeah, she's like an old master sergeant who's just like, oh, these youngsters don't know shit. I'm going to go show them how the fuck to do it, and then I'm going to go fucking leave them alone again.
Can I actually interject right here? Because I want to add something onto your idea that I think would make for better storytelling, but an amazing mod. Imagine at the start of the game, you come out of the vault and the Minutemen are the primary force in the region. And through the events of the game, as you're like going to find Sean and shit, you come across several instances where they're like losing settlements to super mutants, losing settlements to raids. Like a Mirelurk Queen surfaces like under the castle and wipes them out. And then eventually you can stumble upon Quincy, which is their like last stand, right? And then they fight to like the last man, and it could be like a quest where you help Preston and the crew like evacuate the survivors from Quincy, while like the Minutemen have a last stand against the gunners. And then like after you get them to safety is when Preston's like, you know, we really need help. Like I can't be a leader. Like I was just here to be a fighter, and like, you know, you're the general now. And right at this point in time,
just continue with the main how it already is.
Yeah. So then you have the regular Minutemen quest right as the Brotherhood shows up. And then you have to like fight the Brotherhood for settlements because they're coming in and they're like starting to take settlements and force people. So you can either join them or you can build the Minutemen. And then you like could see from the beginning of the game what the Minutemen really could have been.
That actually would be amazing because that would leave you with a morally gray choice. Do you stay with a dying faction and bring it from the ashes? Or do you leave it to its fate and try to assist the new incoming force that is 10 times more powerful?
Yeah, and on top of having that interaction, you also have the personal motive, right? So like with the Minutemen, the personal motive is really, because they're the independent ending, it's really like, you know, what do you want to get out of the deal? Versus like you started off in a world controlled by the Minutemen. You saw the good they did, the bad they did, and we'll say for the sake of brevity, that bad is very low because we know with how they were written that there's no downsides to the Wasteland when you do the Minutemen, really.
Yeah,
because they're
say
based.
with like, yeah, because they're based. And so like everything was good, and you saw that like just slowly get chipped away throughout the events of the game. And so you have that personal like, well, I want this back. You know, I want to have this faction because they were doing nothing but good. And now we have, you know, the Institute, like they're operating more on the surface, they're doing more heinous acts. You have the Railroad and their whole conflict with the Institute being a big fucking distraction. Then you have the Brotherhood like coming in and they're like, you know, we're gonna liberate the Commonwealth by destroying the Institute. And like, what's going to happen when the Brotherhood leaves and the Institute's destroyed and the Railroad has no purpose? The Commonwealth is once again going to be empty and void. Where is the savior, the grand savior? And I mean, in the real world, there might not need to be one, right? But this is a video game. We always want to have someone that we back and control. And so we could say, hey, we have that personal connection now. We could say, I want the Minutemen to become the ultimate force of good again. And then seeing these areas that you pass through, like let's say there was like let's say the Dunwich Borers. In the beginning of the game, the first time you walk through it, it's a Minutemen settlement, you know? It's like got tons of water there, people are camped out there and they're like trying to figure out how to do the like progress the quest like by draining the water and fixing the pipes or whatever. And let's say like you come back later in the game after the Brotherhood arrives and it's suddenly like taken over by raiders because all of the Minutemen were killed there. Raiders arrived in force, killed them, drained the water. Now it's available to, you know, honestly, I don't really know what they wanted with it. But the whole point is that you get to see this faction that was like really helpful getting cut away by the overwhelming force of bad shit happening in the Commonwealth.
Yeah, and well, I'll also add this is that the one thing that the way the story for 4 is done is that it actually did a good job of portraying that there is no good faction. Because yeah, the Minutemen are good, but at the same time, they are not going to last even with your support, because each Fallout game canonically, either the main character dies shortly after the events of the game, or they leave the region that they were in for whatever reason. So the person who rebuilt the Minutemen, you, the general, is going to leave, die, or something's going to happen to them. Sorry if you hear the storm in the background. But when it comes to every other faction, it's like you said with the Brotherhood, they are just going to scavenge the Commonwealth's corpse and leave. And whether the Brotherhood or the Institute win, it's the same thing. They're going to scavenge the remnants of what is left of Boston, take it for themselves, and wipe everything else out. And don't even get me started on the Railroad, because they're literally just fucking panderers.
The Railroad is a non-factor.
I just thought of something like the coolest thing when you guys were talking about like Courier, when you were saying when the you know, at the ends of all the Fallout games how the, you know, the main character or whatever, they just piss off basically.
Yeah.
I was thinking, what if they go in the Fallout show and they're like going to the Commonwealth and they're like, what if we talk to, you know, everything's Minutemen ran and they're like, this is the Minutemen, and they're like, well, let's go talk to the main chief, you know, the general of the Minutemen. And it's like a dark room, and it's a dude in like the, you know, the Minutemen general outfit.
Yeah.
Super based, super sexy. It's like you see the outline of that, and it's in the dark, and then the lights show up, and it's Nate's face. And I'd probably pass out watching that. I could die peacefully if I seen that.
Like I was saying with the intro, you don't even need Ron Perlman for Fallout 4. That intro is done so well. Like, I don't know if any of you have ever seen the AI colorized version of that video. Oh my God. Go look it up if you haven't. Neo, dude. I know Waste just said he did. Jesus, like I legitimately teared up the first time I watched it, because the ending and the way that video ends, you're just like, holy fuck, like stakes have never been higher. All this other stuff is going on. Like, damn, like this is intense. and it's also the voice line delivery from the Nate actor, because they mocapped his face for the character, and he's the guy doing the voiceover and the narration. So, and he's a Fallout fan, whoever he is. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but I mean, like, the way he voiced out the intro and the way it was portrayed, it's really good in black and white. But the moment you add color to it, it's humanized like crazy. Like seeing the people running towards the factory in like the random colored clothing, like trench coats and suits and stuff like that. And the two kids like wrestling over stuff in the rubble. Like they have details that you didn't notice before because of the color. And it's just like, damn, like that is fucking amazing.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, you guys are making... I have a bad... So, you know, there's always the bad toxic ex. And that's what Fallout 4 is to me. That's my... Like I said, I'm gonna get caught a lot of shit for this. Fallout 4 is my favorite Fallout game. And it's... Oh my god, it's not just the Minutemen. It's... Okay, it's a lot of the Minutemen. But it's just so cool seeing, like, Fallout 4, like, the view. Like, I wasn't even worried about getting a girlfriend when I was playing Fallout 4. And I know that's the most never touch grass simp thing you've ever heard. No, I was grinding the shit out of that game.
You weren't trying to put that, like, Mr. Handy brain into that simp lady that is based on your genetics so you could bang her like in Alabama?
Bruh. No, Piper's my waifu. But anyways, so...
Oh my god!
What about Curie, bruh? What about
she's
Curie?
My waifu too.
Curie's... Did you just say Piper's your waifu too?
Yeah. I love
You can only be mine, but that's crazy.
It's either her or Strong, you know?
Oh god, you're gonna give him the milk of human kindness, huh?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Come here, buddy. I got some milk for you.
Oh god.
Oh my god. Okay, hold on. Before you continue, there's a mod for New Vegas now that replaces every human NPC in the game with Doc Mitchell. All right, continue.
I've seen that.
No, but so like the Fallout 4 on its own, and everyone talks so much shit about it, and I know you guys don't like it that much, but it's I'm gonna like cook right now. That game is just so epic. I love the dead trees. I love going to Nuka World, and you're like, oh, this is what the West Coast would look like in the Fallout 4 engine, and you go to, you know, Far Harbor, and you're seeing the struggles of the people, and it's like, it's so crazy. It feels like the biggest game, and then you're like, oh my god, the city, it looks so sick. You go to the city, your game crashes. It's just so crazy, like all the stuff that happens.
Game crashes.
And it's, I don't know, it's just, I love exploring the ocean. It's like the first Fallout you can, well, it's the only Fallout you can explore the ocean. And you can just do so much cool shit in that game.
You can do it in Fallout 3.
Yeah, the ocean?
Yeah. They've got several things that are hidden throughout the ocean in 3, both in Point Lookout and the base game.
Yeah,
Dude.
You can also technically do it in Fallout 2 because the oil rig's on the ocean.
Yeah. I gotta try that now with 3. Oh, 3 is another game that I could just go on about. But no, 4 is just, I just love the atmosphere. Everything's so dark and crazy. And I love when you start out and you're like exploring and you got like a hunting rifle and you're shooting up gunners. Like, I don't know. If there's any Fallout I can replay infinitely, it's probably Fallout 4. And dude, I don't know. I love everything about it.
I can agree with you on the settlement building aspect because I can't lie. Fallout 4 for the longest time was my game with the most recorded hours on it, and that stopped when it hit 900. And the only reason is because when you're playing that game, it's not the gameplay, it's not the what's it called? The firearms gameplay is pretty enjoyable, especially with VATS and stuff. But
yeah,
melee and other stuff, not so much. And
wait, for which game?
Fallout 4.
Oh yeah, dude, Fallout 4's melee is dog shit.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because they did such a good job with New Vegas. You know, like at 50, you unlock the uppercut. At like 75, you unlock the cross.
You get like
more
new
special fucking combat moves that you can learn from people out in the game. Like, it's not hard to make good unarmed combat. And then for fucking, oh my god, Fallout 4. They're like, we're just gonna do the Skyrim thing, like fucking left hook, right hook. That's it.
Well, also, I mean, what I was gonna say with Fallout 4, with like 90% of the enjoyment you get from it is gathering scrap and building up settlements. And it's kind of, we were ragging on Waste a little bit for the sim thing, but honest to God, it is really fun being able to build up a settlement, specially clothe certain people where you're like, all right, you're the guard, you're the person patrolling between bases.
Dude, I'm geeking out right now. I'm geeking out. You just said that, and I'm just like, oh my god, someone else like playing dress up with their settlers? Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Bro,
I mean,
honestly, yeah. Like I actually do love the base building. Like I give it shit because it's not something that belongs in a Fallout game. But I am a big fucking fan of The Sims. I'm a big fucking fan of anything that you can build shit on. And honestly, dude, I have an entire Fallout 4 modded playthrough where I have tamed every settlement in the Commonwealth with Legion characters, and I don't even care. Get fucked. I'm based as fuck, bro.
Hell yeah,
that's pretty based.
Yeah. Well, the other thing with like the settlement building and stuff, I literally re-downloaded Fallout 4 3 or 4 times just to go build settlements and just to deal with the whole, okay, I'm gonna organize this and that and all these things. I remember seeing a video a long time ago about how Oxhorn explained how you're supposed to like get the max amount of settlers in a settlement, and you can get it up to like 48 or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember I followed that to the letter. I got all my the max I could get because I liked the automatron and like robots and stuff, and that hampers the process. The most I could get up to was 36 in most settlements, 38 in 1 or 2 of them, because of like I just forced Preston and the gang to go to Sanctuary, and I never talked to them again. But what's it called? Now with my more recent playthroughs, which the last Fallout 4 playthrough I did was 2+ years ago, but the main thing that I do with Sanctuary is I'll scrap the houses that are completely destroyed, and then I'll go throughout the houses that are half destroyed that you can like still live in, and I'll just put one building will be a bar, one building will be the clinic, one building will be a police station, and kind of make my own settlements that are more loristical. I don't know how to say that fit the lore better than Bethesda can even make settlements, because I don't give a fuck what any of you or anybody that's a Fallout 4 fan says. The fucking stadium is the dumbest fucking thing. Oh, let's all build in the center. Totally not build anything on the bleachers except for the mayor's thing. Like, there's so much open space, and like they're just like, nah, let's all cram in the middle. Like,
yeah.
What?
So the thing about Fallout 4 that you know how I said it's like my Toxic X. The only reason that's the case, is because on Xbox, I cannot go to DC without it crashing, and I got it to work really well in my Series X, and then it started crashing because I'm like a mod addict, and so I was like, damn, I just gotta wait for the next gen update. So that's what I'm doing.
Fallout 4 is unplayable without mods.
Dude, it really is. So I'm like, why? I gotta play with mods, so I'm waiting for the next gen update. But this ties into what I wanted to talk about. You said the stadium. It's like, yeah, that's a good choice for the location, but why do they all stick in that one place? And notice how many people are in the biggest city in Fallout 4. It's like nothing. And
there's like 20 people.
Yeah, and the East Coast, it's huge. There's New Vegas, there's Los Angeles, there's San Francisco. They're all huge. And I was talking to my uncle about some stuff, and he was telling me, like, why, and everyone says this, why is the East Coast so dog shit? Why can't people just toughen up and build?
Oh, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'll say this right now. It's because Bethesda forgot it's been 200 years and not 20 years. Sorry, continue.
Well, most based thing I've ever fucking heard.
Bros based. But and I would like to say is because the East Coast is so much more deadly.
That too. That's very true.
And it's like, you go to, like, think about when you explore New Vegas, it's like, yeah, there's like 3 goals.
Well, actually, I do want to add to that. The East Coast got hit first.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it's DC. Hard. So they... I know that, like, the White House specifically got struck once, but let's be fucking real. There were multiple warheads pointed at DC itself. I don't know why there's not more craters and why there's any city left at all for Fallout 3. Just realistically speaking, with the amount of warheads that targeted DC, there's no fucking way.
I have a very good reason for you, and it's literally not lore friendly, but I have the collector's edition, but I have 3 of them. The collector's edition books, they describe that the reason that Fallout 3 is not completely Rebel, because they did all the research on nukes. They're like, well, we wanted you to actually be able to explore, but realistically, there'd be zero anything. But the thing is with DC, they didn't have the Vault Dweller to stop the mutants, which is kind of dumb. They have mutants in Fallout 3 because they're like, oh, we got to just bring them over. They're mutants. They're a staple.
I'll say this: Fallout 3 handled mutants better than 4. Even 76 did a better job of handling mutants than 4 did. Because 4 is literally just the Institute decided one day, let's make super mutants, and then they're just like, hey, let's cancel it for no reason.
It's just dumb, and I just don't understand how they could spread so easily. It's just like, why would you? The Institute's supposed to be so smart, yet they do something that just really dumb like that. It just seems like a plot hole.
But like Bethesda should have never done mutants to begin with.
Yeah, because it's like, why would you have mutants here? It's like completely unrelated.
The whole thing was like in Fallout 1, FEV was in its experimentation phase, which is where a lot of the source material for like Fallout 3 and above happens. It was really the Master who created the FEV that we know that creates super mutants, because beforehand you would just like throw something into a vat and it would come out like a Cronenberg monster, that's how like centaurs are like multiple different things, but you got like centaurs and floaters and shit like that's what would happen when you threw something in FEV. Like you weren't creating mutants were engineered. That it took something perfecting the FEV process to create super mutants. And so
it was telekinetic.
Fallout 3, they were just like, they were using FEV and Evolve and experimenting on people, and they just made super mutants. Basically the same kind of Generation 2 mutants that the Enclave on the West Coast made when they were doing their own FEV experiments trying to make the Curling 13 virus. And then they
if you think about mutants. That wouldn't make any sense, because the only reason that the Generation 2 were a thing is because the FEV facility at Mariposa got breached during the war, and the FEV went into the atmosphere. So everyone that was a Generation 2 mutant had already been exposed to the FEV. So why are suddenly people being turned into mutants in Vault 87 that are on Generation 2 level? They haven't been exposed to the virus.
Yeah, and this is the FEV that was used to make the Masters of mutants, And so, like, there are some Generation 2 mutants, like the ones you find in Mariposa Military Base and Fallout 2. One of them amongst them is more like a Generation 1, and that would be Frank Horrigan, because he had very, very minimal radiation exposure. And in the early Fallout games, your exposure to radiation was what caused you to have less intellect when you mutated into a super mutant, which is what happened with the majority of the other ones, with the exception of Melchior, who was the leader of the mutant horde that you could find in Mariposa and Fallout 2. So like that, so like
good video on that, by the way,
made by Enclave in Fallout 2 were made using the Master's FEV, essentially. So like the FEV that's found on the East Coast in Fallout 3, 4, and 76 should not be creating super mutants.
And I want to say this right now. I'm sorry for cutting you off. I'll be real quick.
It's okay.
The first exposure to FEV, or not the first, but Richard Gray, the Master. What happened to him? He became a blob that literally crawled around like a creepy shit thing, and then mixed with a computer. He didn't become a mutant.
Well, that was OG Fallout 1 and 2 really dabbled in supernatural and extraterrestrial sort of deals. And for instance, it was because he had a very high intellect, and there are telekinetics like Melchior. So with the master himself, it's more of, because I don't know who did it. I hate that I keep bringing up Oxhorn so much, but I think it might have been Oxhorn.
We can't discount what Oxhorn did for the Fallout YouTube community.
No, he's brought,
Very true.
Him and Shoddycast really laid the groundwork for people like us later on, you know?
Very true.
I am not an Oxhorn fan at all. Like, I have never once liked his content. But I can't discount what he has done for us. Very true.
But the thing that I was going to say is they went through like exactly what happened to him, and I don't know where they get it from. Maybe it's from the Fallout Bible. I don't know. But they're talking about how he literally is like, he somehow gets out of the vat and he's crawling around and he's starving and he's like pretty much on the verge of death because he's hungry. And he sees a rat run in front of him, and no thought process, nothing. Just a tendril shoots out of his body, grabs the rat, and absorbs it into him. And he's no longer hungry, but he also has all of the rat's memories of the facility. And so that's where he knew to go to find that supercomputer, because the rat had been running around that facility for God knows how long. So it knew the entire thing. So he's like, oh, I just have to go here. And so then he goes and he like found more rats along the way, and he absorbed food and knowledge. And when he got to the supercomputer, because he was in the state of like already mutating, he just fuses with it, because he stayed there for so long that it's kind of like his body adapted to it. But because of the telekinesis, he was kind of like basically tapping into the base's AI as well.
Dude, you're literally describing the people I go against in Fortnite. Like, I'm not even lying. That's dead on.
What the fuck?
They're either like really good or really mutated.
Yeah, they just fuse with their damn Xboxes and then shit on me.
All right. I'm gonna change topics real quick, because I had a question for Courier that I wanted to ask like almost 2 hours ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All good. That's what we do here, man. We drink a little and then we talk a little.
Damn straight.
I wanted to know. Sorry. Let me restart my brain real quick. Unlike most of y'all, I ain't like the master. I want to talk a little bit about your cosplay. What's its inspiration? How has it evolved since you started it? What's its response that you've gotten from the Fallout community? Take the reins, my friend.
Okay, so this is actually interesting. And I'm going to go off topic initially, and I'll work my way into it. But when I went to Fallout New Vegas Day 22, the first one, I was not in a good headspace, and I just went on my own. I was actually planning a trip to go to the East Coast. I was going to check out a lot of Revolutionary and Civil War monuments and battlefields, locations, basically just experience some American history. I love history. I love America. I was born here. I love living here. So I wanted to learn more about our country that we live in. And as I was making the plans to do all this and that, TKS Mantis, amazing person, love him to death in person and on YouTube. He posted his initial video. I think it was in like June, where he was like sorry. The event was in June the first year. My bad. He posted it back in March or something like that. And he was like, hey, in June, there's going to be an event for Fallout New Vegas Day in the town of Good Springs in real life. I'm going to be there if you want to come meet me. The saloon owner, he's going to be celebrating everything that made Fallout what it is, and Fallout New Vegas, how the town is basically one-to-one, all that stuff. And I went there, I had a really good time, and because I wasn't in such a good headspace, I had this experience where when I first went to the event, I got there really early in the morning. I got there 7:45, and there was already 50-something people there. Everyone's lining up for autographs with Gordy, Easy Pete. And when we actually get to the point where like the line is like halfway through, almost everyone's gotten a signature, or sorry, what's it called? A signed picture of Gordy. I had actually walked past Mantis when he was gearing up on the way to the event, and I didn't know it was him. I had a funny thought to myself. I was like, damn, that guy's got a good Ranger outfit. I bet Mantis would like that. And then later it turns out it was fucking him. But he comes up and around, and I'm literally turning around after getting my thing autographed by Gordy, and I hear the crowd go, "Woo, Mantis, woo!" And I turn, and Waste, do you remember the space in between the bar and the saloon where they have that side door from the general store?
Yeah.
So I was right there in front of that door, in like kind of like in between the door and Gordy, and Mantis comes out, and he looks at me, shakes my hand, and he goes, "Hey, nice to meet you. What you doing here?" And I was a little starstruck, and I was like, I'm just here because of your video, man." And he goes, "You for real?" And then everyone around me just goes, yeah, me too. And they had a funny, they did the Spider-Man meme where they were all pointing at each other because there was a bunch of Rangers. I took a picture of that. That was really cool. I got that on my Instagram. But that's actually why I have an Instagram. But that's another sidetrack that I'm not going to get into. But we all did this whole song and dance. Everyone met each other. And then this one kid was like, "Let's all go up the mountain, right?" And we're all like, "Yeah, hell yeah!" The thing is like 90% of us hadn't eaten or drank anything other than Sunset Sarsaparillas.
Exactly.
So
I did that
people are
exact
going
same
up
thing
and down.
at Red Rock Canyon when I went to Vegas.
Oh shit! But everyone's going up and down the mountain. We all got up the mountain, or I need to stop saying mountain. It's a hill. We all get up the hill, and I was the first one back down because I started feeling my stomach being a little weird, and I was like, "What the fuck is wrong? I don't understand what's happening." And I went and I was like, maybe I need to sit down for a second in some AC. So I get in my car and I turn the car on. I'm sitting there with the AC blowing, and my stomach is hurting. And I haven't thrown up in a long time since before that. And I was like, oh shit, I think I need to fucking throw up. And I'm not kidding. There were two people that were the next batch of people. Like they were literally 2 and 3 of people that were coming down off the mountain just after me. And I'm literally like, I'm having this realization, and then I'm starting to feel it go up my esophagus. And I literally roll the window down and like throw half my body out, and I'm just, and these poor people saw the whole thing, and they start laughing, and I started laughing as soon as I was done because that was fucking hilarious. But I actually met a couple of people while I was sitting in the car because I had some waters in my cooler. Passed them out to people. It was a couple of Rangers the first time that came down. What's that Ranger that damn it, Waste, you know who I'm talking about. The Ranger that had the pimp boy 3 billion. He makes posts with his girlfriend.
Joe Zero cosplay?
Yes, Joe Zero. He came across me. He was one of the first Rangers and somehow didn't notice the throw up on the ground. I passed him one of the few cold waters I had left. And I was like, "Here you go, Ranger. I saved a cold one for you." And he goes, "Oh my God, thank you so much." And then he left, and he came back later when I was still in the car, and he gave me an NCR $5 bill. And he was like, "Here, I just wanted to thank you for saving my life." And I was like, "Holy shit, what is this real?" And he goes, "Damn straight it is. You have a good day, man. I'll hope to see you later." And I was like, just starstruck. I'm staring at this fucking bill, and I'm just like, holy shit, this is an Aradesh.
That's worth about $250 on the frontier.
No, yeah, but so I need to stop being so in detail with the story, but basically all that happened, and everything, did the whole song and dance, saw all of Good Springs, the saloon, the general store, all of it, and I realized I had nothing left to do. And out of curiosity, I went up and I asked Mantis, I go, hey, I hate to ask you this, and I understand if you say no, but I actually don't have a reason to be here other than your video. Do you care if I sit with you? And he literally turns around, says, here, grabs a handful of his merch, hands it to me and goes, you're going to help me hand out stuff. And I was like, okay, awesome. Sat with him all day. I met two really amazing people, Owen and AJ. Really
Bro just started
people.
a side quest.
Dude, like the whole day was a side quest. I remember at one point, it was at 11:30. AJ, he's an oil field worker. I think he's 30. I'm not 100% on that. But he slams his fist down on the table and he goes, that's it. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to get a drink. And I was like, it's 11:30, man. And he's just like, I don't give a fuck. He goes and he gets a drink, comes back 2 hours later because, long wait lines. People are there by that point. But in order to skip past all this, I'm going to ignore the rest of that story. That's pretty much just the best part of all that. But I remember at one point I was talking to Mantis, and I had the reason I was in such a bad headspace, I had just gotten out of a relationship with an ex of 5 years. And I thought I was going to marry this person, all this other crazy stuff, the basic whole 9 yards. She left, all this and that. And I, at the event, when I was talking at that table, I had everyone's eyes on me. Mantis, his wife, all the other people at the table. And something clicked in me and I was like, oh shit, I need to chill. And then I mid-sentence was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to get that uppity. And Mantis, he goes, what are you talking about? You've been a social butterfly this whole time. Nothing's wrong with it. And that really just clicked in my head where I was like, holy shit, there's nothing wrong. These are other fans who understand what I'm talking about. They're happy about it. They want to hear it. They want to talk about it. And that's something that I hadn't experienced before, where these games are, I don't like to say it, but they're obscure. Not everyone plays Fallout. And that's a disservice to the series because, damn, they're great storytelling elements. They tell you how humans are in their dire times, whether they're about to die, whether they want to pass on a legacy, whether they want control or whether they want freedom, all these things. And it was amazing getting to talk to all these like-minded individuals. After the event, I remember I was on my way home, teared up a little bit because it was oh my God, it was so much fun. But the craziest part about it is the first thought in my mind, I'm literally leaving, I'm still in Nevada. I'm leaving the next morning and I'm thinking, holy shit, I could come as Clint Eastwood from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Because if you remember, I don't know who the fuck said it, but it was either a YouTuber or it is in the lore. I don't want to say it's in the lore because I'm pretty sure I'm wrong. Or sorry, not in the lore, but the developer diaries of the people making the games, is that the Desert Rangers are actually based off of Clint Eastwood's character from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and the Texas Rangers. So I was like, holy shit, I can do that. And at the time, Red Dead 2 was out, and people were making mods with that outfit all the time. So I was seeing that outfit, and I was like, this may be a Western-themed thing, but this is a Western-themed Fallout location with some actual Western history. Because, Neo, you've been there too, so you know about the bullet holes in the wall of the saloon where some guys got killed over a poker game.
Hell yeah. I was actually just reading the newspaper article on that the other day.
Yeah, because, I saw you share that, yeah.
Yeah, Good Springs lore. I'm in love with the Wild West, bro.
It's so fucking badass because it was the final time of genuine anarchy and freedom. Not saying that in a good way, but it was.
Did you hear about that no man's land that is now the fucking handle of Oklahoma? But before it belonged to a state, it was like a oh fuck, I can't think of the words, but it was like an area where there was no law because it was not like officially part of any state. So people would go there and there was like a town and they would do whatever the fuck they wanted because, you know, it was the Wild West.
Yeah.
I just learned about that like not too long ago. And that is probably the coolest shit I've learned this year.
Well, actually,
I've seen that on YouTube short.
Yeah.
What?
I remember at one point it fell under Texas's jurisdiction, but Texas gave it up to Oklahoma, and it was during that time period of them giving it up when that happened, because they were like, we don't want anything to do with this section of land, just give it to Oklahoma. It had something to do with the time zones or some weird shit like that. I don't remember. It was some vague reason, but maybe even tariffs. I don't know. But the to circle back to what I was saying, sorry, I'm taking so long with it. But with the Clint Eastwood character, the craziest part about it to me was it's when I went to the event the first year, I met like 30 plus people that were older than my parents, and my dad's 64. And they were there because they were fans of Fallout from like the 1 and 2 days, enjoyed New Vegas and all this other stuff. So what clicked in my mind was I can not only play a character that has an amazing outfit and looks badass and is badass, but I'm going to get cross-referenced by multiple generations of people. Because, for instance, when I went the second year, I think Waste, you might have heard it. A couple of people, when I walked by, they were like, "Hey, Arthur Morgan," or "Hey, John," and I would be like, "Hey, close," because the outfit is so iconic. It's found its way into other media that is similar to it. So for me, it was I can find a way to connect with any generation with this outfit, because I was startled by how many people were there that were older than my parents. And I was like, damn, that's fucking awesome. Because, I mean, one of the crazy things is to segue into The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly as a movie trilogy, which not a lot of people know, but it's a trilogy. It's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, A Fistful of Dollars, and For a Few Dollars More. Honest to God, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is second best by comparison to A Fistful of Dollars. Because A Fistful of Dollars has the all-famous scene of, "Get 4 coffins ready," walks up to the guys. "Yeah, well, my mule ain't too happy about them shots you fired at his feet. I was thinking that if you went and you apologized, I might just forget it." And the guys are all pissed off and they're starting to go for their guns. And Clint Eastwood draws first and he hits all of them. And he comes back to the coffin maker and he just walks by and he goes, "My mistake, 5 coffins." And just keeps walking.
Bro used his dead eye.
Literally, though.
Savage, dude.
But like, fucking shit. Because I had actually rewatched The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly not too long before the event. And just going there and seeing that everything was... I had never left Central Texas up until that point. And I'd always seen in the movies, Texas is portrayed as this non-stop, endless desert. That's literally just the border. It's just the border and up towards the Great Plains areas, which Nikki was talking to me about the Christine character. I probably shouldn't have said her name there. But
it's on her Instagram.
Sure, it is like her Instagram name.
Very true. Very true. But amazing person, by the way. I'm going up there tomorrow. I'm going up to do some photos and maybe a video with her, because I'm probably not going to make it to New Vegas Day 3. I promised the NCR Captain Wallace, that I'd get him some ammo cans that I had made for Waste, because this previous year, whenever I told him about them, I was like, "Yeah, I got some cans that I made for a friend of mine." And he was like, "Oh, can I see them?" And I showed him and he was like, "Oh my God, those are awesome. Do you care if we put them in the tent just for the day?" And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to take them after, of course. But he's like, yeah. We just want them for display. Those are really, really good. And I was like, yeah, awesome. I'll make you some next year. And he was like, oh, that'd be so cool. But I ran into a legal situation. You two already know about that. But I'm probably not going to be there next year, sadly. If I do, which God willing, it's going to be me and my girlfriend and my friend Ethan that Waste knows.
He's the go.
Oh yeah, he's badass. Have you found his hat yet?
Yeah, I got his hat.
Oh, that's right. You messaged me a few days later. That's right. My bad. What's it called? I segued real hard there. My bad on that. I'm gonna be taking these cans up to Nikki up in which I'm also stupid, and I realized that she said Amarillo and not damn it, there was another Abilene. I thought she had said Abilene at first. I'm in Central Texas, and Abilene is only 4 hours away, 3 hours 45 minutes. Abilene is just outside of Dallas, so that's not very far. Amarillo is almost to Oklahoma, that area that you were just talking about, Neo, where it's like that little thin sliver.
Hell yeah.
So if you leave now, would you get to Amarillo by morning?
Yes.
Hey.
Get there by 8 o'clock.
Hey. I had to say that. I'm sorry.
All right, I'm gonna take this moment to let you guys know that we got to wrap up soon.
Oh
yeah.
Right. My bad.
I gotta go to sleep in a sleeping bag in a tent because I gotta invade some NCR turf tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I gotta fight some Legion muties.
If there's a bounty high enough, I'll back you up.
Hell yeah.
You just gotta be like my mysterious stranger. I need a mod that turns a mysterious stranger into you.
Oh my god. I've been thinking about making that. I'm just gonna segue real fast, just super fast, because that's pretty much all that I wanted to talk about with Nikki. I made her a can and got the cans that she's gonna take to Captain Wallace for me, but I already told Neo about this. I think I told Waste about this, but I'm making it's a small mod for Fallout 3 where it's some ghouls that are holed up in Northwest Seneca Station with Murphy, the guy who makes the Ultra Jet, because I've always just kind of been like, why the fuck is there this random ghoul in here with a dead Wastelander and some fucking mole rats? What the fuck is this shit?
Hashtag Bethesda.
Yeah, like what the hell? Just completely random. But I made a small settlement, and I'm working on the dialogue. I've got the bartender done. I've got the gate guard like 95% done, and I've got the radio operator like 80% done. Basically just running off the story of there were 15 survivors from when the bombs dropped that were down there in the metro, and the gate guard, his name is Summers, he saved everyone and he got them up there, told them to hunker down, and he's a real rude, real mean military member. So he didn't take no shit. He didn't deal with anybody's bullshit, all this and that.
Wait,
because they're in the metro, they all ghoulified. And then a certain section of them, like 5 or so people, split off. And they went down further into the metros to try and find better shelter. But then the tunnels collapsed. And they had given them a portable radio to keep in contact with the ham radio operator to see if there would have been a safe place to go. That being said, after the collapse, it's all they had to communicate with each other. And it's kind of like left up in the air where basically like they don't know what's going on. But each time the ghouls that split off are radioing back in, they're like more and more erratic or strange sounding. Like, oh, I'm trying to get these bees out of my fucking teeth. But what's it called? Basically they go feral. And it's kind of not really known how or what happened. Basically just that the last radio chatter was 100 or so years ago. They don't know what happened. They're probably dead. And then one day Vance and his flock popped their head out of, Murphy's manhole a few rooms over. And they asked them, they're like, hey, did you run into any ghouls down in the deeper metro system? And Vance basically says, no, we had to kill a couple ferals, though, in order to secure our coven where we live. And so if it were them, he said that he killed 3 or 4 feral ghouls. If it were them, that leaves 1 or 2 unaccounted for, and all this and that. But actually writing it, actually scripting it, and actually making everything in and moving props around in the Gek, my God, it gives you a huge perspective. Like, we shit on Bethesda a lot for everything that they do and how janky some things are in their games. But oh my God, you spend 5 minutes in the Gek editor and you learn to appreciate what they managed to cobble together.
They be sweating, dude. They be working.
Honestly,
some Minutemen factions that are the best.
Whoever made 3 in New Vegas were just like the sweatiest developers you've ever seen, just fucking drenched coming out of the elevator to work.
Literally like that meme of the guy just slamming down on the keyboard like, no, oh my God. Oh.
Yeah, but like for a 16 hour shift.
Yeah.
Like you sleep here now. Boy.
Jesus.
All right, Waste, any closing statements?
Well, thank you guys so much for watching or listening, however you watch this. We had a ton of fun, and we're definitely going to do this again. We're definitely going to have good old Courier with No Name here again. It was really fun.
Pleasure to be here.
It was great, and this is the first time we've ever done it late at night. So I'm honestly a little tired. I did a lot of things today. I spent a lot of money buying a gun, as Courier mentioned. So I was genuinely tired, but I had a super fun time. And next time I want to talk about New Vegas Day. I want to do it closer to New Vegas Day because it was such a fantastic time. And if you're listening to this, you got to go to New Vegas Day. Courier might not be there, like you said, but we'll bring him in spirit. I don't know. I'll bring something to represent him or something like that. I don't know how I'll do it, but I'll do something.
We'll bring a tombstone, and everyone will be like, "Why do you got a tombstone?"
Yeah, yeah, something. I'll do something. But anyways, like I said, I've not said this yet. Go subscribe to the Courier with No Name. He's got the Fallout Firearms history. He's got this whole, I don't know if I said that verbatim, but he's got this whole series about Fallout's guns, and it's just so badass. It's got a really cool gun on there. It's like this brown AR with like a upper charging handle. It looks so cool. There's a cool guest appearance. Anyways, there's a lot of cool stuff on that channel. Go subscribe to him. His Instagram is the Courier with No Name. We'll have that down in the description. Go subscribe to the Neo Cypher. He's the backbone of this channel. He sets it up and everything. He's the GOAT. And also check out his store. We'll have that as well. What was that?
I just said yee.
Oh, yee.
Sounds of support.
Yeah. The only sound of support are the slaves working, making that back.
I got a store. I got a store made up of NCR tiers. I got a Patreon made up of NCR tiers. I got a YouTube channel. Definitely don't check out the YouTube channel unless you want to learn yourself some lore, which in that case, don't check it out because you'll get offended by my hot takes.
And we're genuinely done with your. Before you comment, read the other comments. That's like a huge thing.
No, don't do that. Just fucking don't even watch the video. Just read the title and open the comment section. And just comment whatever you thought of the title. Like, why Caesar's Legion will always win.
Oh, this Legion fanboy.
They disband after Caesar dies, and Caesar definitely dies as canon, blah, blah, blah. Get fucked.
They do that shit to me, too. So I can only imagine, because you have so much more commenters that it's just, God.
I just imagine. You're getting bleed over from my channel. People they'll see that we did a video together, and they'll go over to your channel on you remember the video we did on the fucking the NCR camp that gets wiped out by
Camp Guardian.
Yeah, and then they'll go over there. They'll be like, actually, the Legion doesn't win because fucking machetes versus 5.56 ammo can't definitely pierces football gear.
Out of fucking
bro, I wasn't even involved.
Sir, this is a Fallout shelter video.
Yeah. Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Exactly.
That'll be $2.99.
Yeah, right. $2.99, bro. I got the cheapest fast food of my life today. That was a 2 for $5 deal at Dairy Queen. And it was like, I got one burger and some fries. I went to McDonald's last week. $10 for fucking 2 cheeseburgers and a McChicken.
Jesus.
McDonald's slaps though. McDonald's slaps though.
The economy where I live is not great.
Mm.
But we don't have sales
me
tax. So when they advertise something is $1.99, it's $1.99. It's not $2.07, you know? Or $2.14, I guess it would be in most states.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Well, anyways, go subscribe to these gentlemen. We got my channel as well if you like Fallout random shit. And that'll be in all these links will be in the description. Me and Neo will make sure of that. And comment down below your favorite faction, and as well as, you know, give some uneducated dogma that you want to spew, like how the Legion would get shit on because of, you know, any reason you want. Be sure to comment that down below. And with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching. And before I say the famous line, Neo, you go first, and then Courier, you finish this out since you're the guest. What do you guys want to say before we end it?
If you guys comment your favorite faction is the Minutemen, I'm gonna clap those cheeks.
No, the Minutemen's the best.
Everyone knows it's for the Enclave, baby.
Oh yeah. Oh man, Enclave is daddy, really. Like the, you know, the Legion is my love of my life, but the Enclave is like the guy that I tell the Legion not to worry about.
Yeah. Oh god. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you watch this through the end, you're actually based. And with all that said, may the wasteland treat you with peace and prosperity. Stop the podcast.
Oh,
Stop it.
I had no idea what you guys were saying.